Hello, day 88 of reading through the Bible in 1 year. Today, 1 Samuel chapters 23 and 24, 1 Chronicles chapter 6, Psalm 54, and the book of Acts chapter 16. English Standard Version, beginning at 1 Samuel chapter 23. Now they told David, Behold, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah and are robbing the threshing floors. Therefore David inquired of the Lord, Shall I go and attack these Philistines? And the Lord said to David, Go and attack the Philistines and save Keilah. But David's men said to him, Behold, we are afraid here in Judah. How much more than if we go to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines? Then David inquired of the Lord again, and the Lord answered him, Arise, go down to Keilah, for I will give the Philistines into your hand. And David and his men went to Keilah and fought with the Philistines and brought away their livestock and struck them with a great blow. So David saved the inhabitants of Keilah. When Abiathar the son of Amilchak had fled to David to Keilah, he came down with an ephod in his hand. And now it was told Saul that David had come to Keilah, and Saul said, God has given him into my hand, for he has shut himself in by entering a town that has gates and bars. And Saul summoned all the people to war, to go down to Keilah, to besiege David and his men. David knew that Saul was plotting harm against him, and he said to Abiathar the priest, Bring the ephod here. Then said David, O Lord, the God of Israel, your servant has surely heard that Saul seeks to come to Keilah to destroy the city on my account. Will the men of Keilah surrender me into his hand? Will Saul come down, as your servant has heard? O Lord, the God of Israel, please tell your servant. And the Lord said, He will come down. Then David said, Will the men of Keilah surrender me and my men into the hand of Saul? And the Lord said, They will surrender you. Then David and his men, who were about 600, arose and departed from Keilah, and they went wherever they could go. When Saul was told that David had escaped from Keilah, he gave up the expedition. And David remained in the strongholds, in the wilderness, in the hill country of the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul sought him every day, but God did not give him into his hand. David saw that Saul had come out to seek his life. David was in the wilderness of Ziph at Horish, and Jonathan, Saul's son, rose and went to David at Horish and strengthened his hand in God. And he said to him, Do not fear, for the hand of Saul my father shall not find you. He shall be king over Israel, and I shall be next to you. Saul my father also knows this, and the two of them made a covenant before the Lord. David remained at Horish, and Jonathan went home. Then the Ziphites went up to Saul at Gibeah, saying, Is not David hiding among us in the strongholds at Horish, on the hill of Hachlah, which is south of Jeshimon? Now come down, O king, according to all your heart's desire to come down, and our part shall be to surrender him into the king's hand. And Saul said, May you be blessed by the Lord, for you have had compassion upon me. Go, make yet more sure. Know and see the place where his foot is, and who has seen him there. For it is told me that he is very cunning. See therefore, and take note of all the lurking places where he hides, and come back to me with sure information. Then I will go with you. And if he is in the land, I will search him out among all the thousands of Judah. And they arose, and they went to Ziph ahead of Saul. Now David and his men were in the wilderness of Maon, in the Arabah, in the south of Jeshimon. And Saul and his men went to seek him, and David was told. So he went down to the rock and lived in the wilderness of Maon. And when Saul heard that, he pursued after David in the wilderness of Maon. Saul went on one side of the mountain, and David and his men on the other side of the mountain. And David was hurrying to get away from Saul. As Saul and his men were closing in on David and his men to capture them, a messenger came to Saul, saying, Hurry and come, for the Philistines have made a raid against the land. So Saul returned from pursuing after David and went against the Philistines. Therefore that place was called the Rock of Escape. And David went up from there and lived in the strongholds of En-gedi. Chapter 24. When Saul returned from following the Philistines, he was told, "Behold, David is in the wilderness of En-gedi." Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all of Israel and went to seek David and his men in front of the wild goat rocks. And he came to the sheepfolds by the way, where there was a cave, and Saul went in to relieve himself. Now David and his men were sitting in the innermost parts of the cave. And the men of David said to him, "Here is the day of which the Lord said to you, Behold, I will give your enemy into your hand, and you shall do to him as it shall seem good to you." Then David arose and stealthily cut off a corner of Saul's robe. And afterward David's heart struck him, because he had cut off a corner of Saul's robe. He said to his men, "The Lord forbid that I should do this thing to my Lord, the Lord's anointed, to put out my hand against him, seeing he is the Lord's anointed." So David persuaded his men with these words, and did not permit them to attack Saul. And Saul rose up and left the cave and went on his way. Afterward David also arose and went out of the cave and called after Saul, "My lord, the king." And when Saul looked behind him, David bowed with his face to the earth and paid homage. And David said to Saul, "Why do you listen to the words of men who say, Behold, David seeks you harm? Behold, this day your eyes have seen how the Lord gave you today into my hand in the cave. And some told me to kill you, but I spared you. I said, I will not put out my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. See, my father, see the corner of your robe in my hand. For by the fact that I cut off the corner of your robe and did not kill you, you may know and see that there is no wrong or treason in my hands. I have not sinned against you, though you hunt my life to take it. May the Lord judge between me and you. May the Lord avenge me against you, but my hand shall not be against you. As the proverb of the ancients says, Out of the wicked comes wickedness, but my hand shall not be against you. After whom has the king of Israel come out? After whom do you pursue? After a dead dog, after a flea? May the Lord therefore be judge, and give sentence between me and you, and to see to it, and plead my cause, and deliver me from your hand." As soon as David had finished speaking these words to Saul, Saul said, "Is this your voice, my son David?" And Saul lifted up his voice and wept. He said to David, "You are more righteous than I, for you have repaid me good, whereas I have repaid you evil. And you have declared this day how you have dealt with me, and that you did not kill me when the Lord put me into your hands. For if a man finds his enemy, will he let him go away safe? So may the Lord reward you with good for what you have done to me this day. And now, behold, I know that you shall surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel shall be established in your hand. Swear to me, therefore, by the Lord, that you will not cut off my offspring after me, and that you will not destroy my name out of my father's house." And David swore this to Saul. Then Saul went home, but David and his men went up to the stronghold. And now we have 1 Chronicles, the 6th chapter. The descendants of Levi. The sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The sons of Kohath, Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzal. The children of Amram, Aaron, Moses, and Miriam. The sons of Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. Eleazar fathered Phinehas, and Phinehas fathered Abishu. Abishu fathered Buki. Buki fathered Uzi. Uzi fathered Zerah. Zerah fathered Merath. Merath fathered Amorah. Amorah fathered Atub. Atub fathered Zadok. Zadok fathered Ahamaz. Ahamaz fathered Azarah. Azarah fathered Johanan. And Johanan fathered Azarah. It was he who served as priest in the house that Solomon built in Jerusalem. Azarah fathered Amorah. Amorah fathered Atub. Atub fathered Zadok. Zadok fathered Shallum. Shallum fathered Hilkah. Hilkah fathered Azarah. Azarah fathered Sirah. Sirah fathered Jezadok. And Jezadok went into exile when the Lord sent Judah and Jerusalem into exile by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar. The sons of Levi, Gershom, Kohath, and Merari. And these are the names of the sons of Gershom, Libni and Shimei. The sons of Kohath, Amram, Izhar, Hebron, Uzziel. The sons of Merari, Mahel and Mushi. These are the clans of the Levites according to their fathers. Of Gershom, Libni, his son Jahath, his son Zimmah, his son Johah, his son Iddo, his son Zerah, his son Jethro, his son. The sons of Kohath, Amminadab, his son Korah, his son Asher, his son Elkanah, his son Eliashib, his son Asher, his son Tehith, Uriel, his son Uzi, his son, and Shaul, his son. The sons of Elkanah, Amasah, and Ahamoth. Elkanah, his son, Zobhel, his son Naheth, his son. Elab, his son. Jerum, his son. Elkanah, his son. The sons of Samuel, Joel, his firstborn, the second Abijah. The sons of Merari, Mahil, Libni, his son. Shimi, his son. Uzzah, his son. Shemi, his son. Haggai, his son. And Asha, his son. These are the men whom David put in charge of the service of song in the house of the Lord, after the ark rested there. They ministered with the song before the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, until Solomon built the house of the Lord in Jerusalem, and they performed their service according to their order. These are the men who served as their sons of the sons of Kohathites: Heman, the singer, the son of Joel, son of Samuel, son of Elkanah, son of Jerome, son of Elil, son of Tor, son of Zuph, son of Elkanah, son of Mahath, son of Amasah, son of Elkanah, son of Joel, son of Azarah, son of Zephaniah, son of Tehith, son of Esher, son of Ebashap, son of Korah, son of Izhar, son of Kohath, son of Levi, son of Israel, and his brother Asaph, who stood on his right hand, namely Asaph, son of Barak, son of Shimi, son of Michael, son of Basalah, son of Melechah, son of Ithni, son of Zerah, son of Adihai, son of Ethan, son of Zamah, son of Shimei, son of Jahath, son of Gershom, son of Levi. On the left hand were their brothers, the son of Merari, Ethan, the son of Kish, son of Abdi, son of Melech, son of Hashabai, son of Amazah, son of Hilkah, son of Imzi, son of Bana, son of Shimir, son of Mala, son of Mushi, son of Merari, son of Levi. And their brothers, the Levites, were appointed for all the service of the tabernacle of the house of God. But Aaron and his sons made offerings on the altar of burnt offering and on the altar of incense for all the work of the most holy place, and to make atonement for Israel, according to all that Moses, the servant of God, had commanded. These are the sons of Aaron: Eleazar his son, Phinehas his son, Abishua his son, Buka his son, Uzi his son, Zerah his son, Merhuth his son, Amarah his son, Ahitub his son, Zadok his son, Ahimaaz his son. These are their dwelling places, according to their settlements within their borders, to the sons of Aaron, or the clans of Kohites, for theirs was the first lot. To them they gave Hebron in the land of Judah and its surrounding pasture lands. But the fields of the city and its villages they gave to Caleb the son of Jephunneh. To the sons of Aaron they gave the cities of refuge, Hebron, Libnah, with its pasture lands, Jetir, Eshtemoh, with its pasture lands, Hilen, with its pasture lands, Debir, with its pasture lands, Ashan, with its pasture lands, and Beth Shemesh, with its pasture lands. And from the tribe of Benjamin, Gibeon and Gibeah, with its pasture lands, Elameth, with its pasture lands, and Anathoth, with its pasture lands. All their cities throughout their clans were 13. To the rest of the Kohites were given by lot out of the clan of the tribe, out of the half-tribe, the half of Manasseh, 10 cities. To the Gishonites, according to their clans, were allotted 13 cities out of the tribes of Ishkar, Asher, Naphtali, Manasseh, in Bashan. To the Merarites, according to their clans, were allotted 12 cities out of the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. So the people of Israel gave the Levites the cities with which their pasture lands. They gave by lot out of the tribes of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin, these cities that are mentioned by name. And some of the clans of the sons of Kohath, and the cities of their territory out of the tribes of Ephraim, they were given the cities of refuge, Shechem with its pasture lands, and the hill countries of Ephraim, and Gezer with its pasture lands, Jokmeam with its pasture lands, Beth-horon with its pasture lands, Ajalon with its pasture lands, Gath-rimmon with its pasture lands, and out of the half-tribe of Manasseh, Aner with its pasture lands, and Bileam with its pasture lands, to the rest of the clans of the Kohathites. To the Gershonites were given out of the clan of the half-tribe of Manasseh, Golan, Bashan with its pasture lands, and Ashtaroth with its pasture lands. And out of the tribe of Ishkar, Kadesh with its pasture lands, Debereth with its pasture lands, Ramuth with its pasture lands, and Anem with its pasture lands. Out of the tribe of Asher, Mashu with its pasture lands, Abdon with its pasture lands, Hukok with its pasture lands, and Rehob with its pasture lands. And out of the tribe of Naphtali, Kadesh in Galilee with its pasture lands, Haman with its pasture lands, and Kerith with its pasture lands. To the rest of the Merarites were allotted out of the tribe of Zebulun, Ramoni with its pasture lands, Tabor with its pasture lands, and beyond the Jordan at Jericho on the east side of the Jordan, out of the tribe of Reuben, Bezir in the wilderness with its pasture lands, Jahzah with its pasture lands, Kedemuth with its pasture lands, Mephath with its pasture lands, and out of the tribe of Gab, Ramoth, and Gilead with its pasture lands, Mahanaim with its pasture lands, Heshbon with its pasture lands, and Jazer with its pasture lands. And now on to Psalm 54. O God, save me by your name, and vindicate me by your might. O God, hear my prayer. Give ear to the words of my mouth, for strangers have risen against me. Ruthless men seek my life. They do not set God before themselves. Behold, God is my helper. The Lord is my upholder of my life. He will return the evil to my enemies. In your faithfulness put an end to them. With a freewill offering I will sacrifice to you. I will give thanks to your name, O Lord, for it is good. For he has delivered me from every trouble, and my eyes have looked in triumph on my enemies. And lastly, for today, we have from the book of Acts, the 16th chapter. Paul came also to Derbe to Lystra, and a disciple was there named Timothy, the son of a Jewish woman, who was a believer, but his father was a Greek. He was well spoken of by the brothers at Lystra and Iconium. Paul wanted Timothy to accompany him, and he took him and circumcised him because of the Jews who were in those places, for they all knew that his father was a Greek. As they went on their way through the cities, they delivered to them for observance the decisions that had been reached by the apostles and elders who were in Jerusalem. So the churches were strengthened in the faith, and they increased in numbers daily. And they went through the region of Phrygia and Galatia, and having been forbidden by the Holy Spirit to speak the word in Asia, and when they had come up to Mysia, they attempted to go to Bithynia, but the Spirit of Jesus did not allow them. So passing by Mysia, they went down to Troas. And a vision appeared to Paul in the night. A man of Macedonia was standing there, urging him and saying, "Come over to Macedonia and help us." And when Paul had seen the vision, immediately we sought to go on into Macedonia, concluding that God had called us to preach the gospel to them. So, setting sail from Troas, we made a direct voyage to Samothrace, and the following day to Neapolis, and from there to Philippi, which is a leading city of the district of Macedonia, and a Roman colony. We remained in this city some days, and on the Sabbath day we went outside the gate to the riverside, where we supposed there was a place of prayer, and we sat down and spoke to the women who had come together. One who heard us was a woman named Lydia from the city of Thyatira, a seller of purple goods, who was a worshipper of God. The Lord opened her heart to pay attention to what was said by Paul, and after she was baptized, and her household as well, she urged us, saying, "If you have judged me to be faithful to the Lord, come to my house and stay." And she prevailed upon us. As we were going to the place of prayer, we were met by a slave girl, who had a spirit of divination and brought her owners much gain by fortune-telling. She followed Paul and us, crying out, "These men are servants of the Most High God, who proclaim to you the way of salvation." And this she kept doing for many days. Paul, having become greatly annoyed, turned and said to the spirit, "I command you in the name of Jesus Christ to come out of her." And it came out of her that very hour. But when her owners saw their hope of gain was gone, they seized Paul and Silas and dragged them into the marketplace before the rulers. And when they had brought them to the magistrates, they said, "These men are Jews, and they are disturbing our city. They advocate customs that are not lawful for us as Romans to accept or practice." The crowd joined in attacking them, and the magistrates tore the garments off them and gave orders to beat them with rods. And when they had inflicted many blows upon them, they threw them into prison, ordering the jailer to keep them safely. Having received this order, he put them into the inner prison and fastened their feet in stocks. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the prisoners were listening to them. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were opened, and everyone's bonds were unfastened. When the jailer woke and saw that the prison doors were open, he drew his sword and was about to kill himself, supposing that the prisoners had escaped. But Paul cried out with a loud voice, "Do not harm yourself, for we are all here." And the jailer called for lights and rushed in, and trembling with fear he fell down before Paul and Silas. Then he brought them out and said, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" And they said, "Believe in the Lord Jesus, and you will be saved, you and your household." And they spoke the word of the Lord to him and to all who were in his house. And he took them the same hour of the night and washed their wounds, and he was baptized at once, he and all his family. And he brought them up into his house and set food before them, and he rejoiced along with his entire household that he had believed in God. But when it was day, the magistrates sent the police, saying, "Let those men go." And the jailer reported these words to Paul, saying, "The magistrates have sent to let you go. Therefore come out now and go in peace." But Paul said to them, "They have beaten us publicly, uncondemned men, who are Roman citizens, and have thrown us into prison. And do they now throw us out secretly? No. Let them come themselves and take us out." The police reported these words to the magistrate, and they were afraid when they heard that they were Roman citizens. So they came and apologized to them, and they took them out and asked them to leave the city. So they went out of the prison and visited Lydia, and when they had seen the brothers, they encouraged them and departed. That was the end of day 88. Day 88, we read 1 Samuel chapter 23 and 24, 1 Chronicles chapter 6, Psalm 54, and the book of Acts, the 16th chapter.